It starts as we see a plane flying in the middle of the night. Inside it, there was a man throwing bags of cocaine outside, and after he threw the last bag, he put on his parachute and decided to jump. But as he was about to jump outside, his head bumped towards the door, knocking him out cold in the process. In the next scene, we see two lovers resting above a rock in the middle of a river. It appears these two were hikers who are making a vlog. As they make their way to the peak of the mountain, they argue about their wedding, but they immediately make up as they reach the peak. As they were admiring the view, they saw a bear in the distance, scratching its back against a tree. The man took out his camera to take pictures of it and said the bear seems to have dementia as it keeps banging its head on a tree. As the woman takes the camera, the bear notices them and starts to creep up to them. The man then says the famous words, "If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, stay down." But they were not sure if the bear was black or brown. As the bear inches closer towards them, the woman started running, and the man had no choice but to follow her. The unlucky man stumbles on a rock as the bear catches up to them. It jumps towards the woman and starts to dismantle her. We then saw her feet fly towards the man who ran away, leaving his lover. Later, we see that the man who jumped out of the plane was found dead on the driveway because his parachute didn't open. His name was Andrew C. Thornton II, a known drug trafficker. Detective Bob Springs and Officer Reba Mitchell were on the case as the detective suspects more cocaine has been dumped in the area. Next, we are introduced to David, who is meeting with Sid in a diner. Both of them are drug dealers too. They discuss the cocaine that has been dumped off the plane and the death of Thornton. Sid urges David to take Eddie, Sin's son, with him in search for the missing cocaine in the Chattahoochee National Forest, also known as the Blood Mountain, in order to help him move on from the death of his wife. Then we are introduced to Sari, who is being teased by her daughter, Didi, about her crush on the pediatrician. We then see Eddie, who is drinking himself to death in a bar. David arrives to comfort him, and as Eddie shows him the misspelled tattoo on his chest, they see the news on the TV about the death of Thornton. Then we see Didi cutting classes with Henry, as the two of them try to visit the nearby waterfalls. Meanwhile, at the police station, Detective Bob receives a tip from the bartender about what Eddie and David talked about last night. He asked Officer Reba to look after his dog while he was working on the case. As Sari arrives home to rest, she gets a call from the school that her daughter skipped classes. She called some friends to find out about her whereabouts, but none of them have a clue. She then finds a backpack outside containing a map with the waterfalls marked on it telling her where her daughter went. This time we are introduced to Ranger Liz, who is on duty at the Chattahoochee National Forest Visitor Center, getting ready for her visitor, as a kid goes inside and steals something. Caught wind of what the kid was doing, but the kid distracts her. Her visitor, Peter, arrives and complains about the smell of cigarettes. Liz blames the kid as it was her who was smoking. Then we see the two kids strolling around the forest when Didi sees a backpack of cocaine. The two of them try to taste it, but they were disgusted by its taste. They saw another pack, but this time it was empty. They noticed the bear as it approached them from behind, and it noticed that it ate the cocaine they had opened. Henry says not to move a muscle, but as the bear snorts the cocaine to them, they run away screaming. Sari arrives at the center, asking Liz and Peter to help her find her daughter. As the three of them make their way out into the forest, Eddie and David arrive as well. When David went to the restroom to wash his hands, he was attacked by a trio of kids known as the Duchamps. One of them was the kid who stole something from the center earlier. They demand David to hand over his belongings, or else they will stab him with their knife. David effortlessly knocks the three kids out, but he gets stabbed in the back. Eddie found one pack of cocaine in the kid's pocket, and they ordered him to take them to where they hid it. Sari, Liz, and Peter arrive at the place where two kids were attacked by the bear. Sari hears Henry shout her name, and they find him on top of a tree. Henry warns them about the crazy bear and how it took Didi with it. Liz and Peter were attacked. Luckily, Liz escaped and ran back to the center, while Peter climbed the tree next to Henry. The bear tries to climb the tree where Henry was and almost gets him, but it smells cocaine on Peter's body. It immediately switches targets and dismantles Peter, while Henry and Sari use this opportunity to escape. When Liz arrives at the center, she sees the two kids were beaten up by David earlier. She orders one of them to open the door as she aims the gun at it. The kid was surprised when he saw a bear sitting outside. As Liz fires her gun, she hits the kid in the head, splattering his brain towards the bear. Luckily, the bear didn't go inside, so Liz orders the other kid to close the door. When they thought the bear was gone, they heard it above the roof, and it smashed the window and grabbed the other kid. As this was happening, Detective Bob arrived, but he didn't notice the bloody hand stain on the window and went on his way. After a while, the ambulance arrived, and 2 medics, Beth and Tom, went inside the center. As they open the door, they see the kids whose brains were blown out by Liz. Beth tends to Liz, who is still alive and not mauled by the bear. She tries to warn them about the bear, but she couldn't utter a word. Tom saw a pool of blood coming from the other room. As he opened it, he saw the body of the other kid completely dismembered while being feasted on by the bear. Tom slowly closes the door as if nothing happened, but the bear knocks it down. Liz and Beth ran to the ambulance while Tom was pinned down by the bear. He then threw a bag to distract the bear and ran to the ambulance as well. The bear quickly catches up to them, though. It leaps inside the ambulance as Tom didn't close it. He got dismembered inside while Liz was thrown out and died brutally as her face scrapes the road, and Beth died due to crashing the ambulance and not wearing a seatbelt. In the next scene, we see the trio of David, Eddie, and the kid arrive where they hid the bag full of cocaine. They were too late, though, as Detective Bob arrived there first and got a hold of the bag on the roof of the gazebo. He orders David to drop his gun, but as he tries to pick it up, Bob shoots him in the hands, blowing 2 of his fingers off. David still went for his gun, even while bleeding, and successfully gets it without being shot this time. As he and Bob were in the middle of a standoff, the bear arrived. They were confused as the bear lay down on top of Eddie and fell asleep. Meanwhile, on the other side of the forest, Sari and Henry found the trekker alive and crying for help. It seems he knows where the bear took Dee Dee. David calls a truce between him and Bob to check on the bear. As David gets close to it, the bear wakes up, smelling the pack of cocaine that David dropped on the ground. The bear ate the whole pack, and the 4 guys were watching as to what effect it would have towards the bear. The bear then started attacking Eddie, but Bob distracted it using the cocaine in the bag. After the bear went away, he let the 3 go. The kid immediately ran away, but David once again pointed his gun towards Bob, demanding for the bag. Bob was shot in the stomach, but not by David. It was Sid who fired his rifle towards Bob. While this was happening, the bear took the bag that Bob dropped on the ground. As David and Eddie ran away, they met Sid, and he told them they must retrieve the bag of cocaine at all costs, or the cartel will come for them. The 3 of them went back to Bob, who was bleeding to death. As Sid asks him where the cocaine went, Reba arrives. Bob was happy to see her, but was immediately betrayed when he saw Reba was on Sid's side all along. With his dying breath, Bob told them where the bear went, and the 4 of them went on their way. Sari and Henry arrive in front of the cave, but the man warns them that the bear is inside and he won't be going any further. Sari asks for his flashlight and goes inside with Henry. As they go inside the dark cave, they saw 2 little bears eating cocaine. Then he saw Dee Dee, who hugged them immediately. After their short reunion, they heard people outside the cave. The 3 of them went to the other side to avoid them. It appears that those people were Sid and his gang. David tries to convince Sid again to just go home because they saw a corpse mangled by the bear. It was the man who led Sari to the cave. Sid, of course, refuses and goes inside the cave. They immediately saw the bag and took it, but Sid told them that there were still many bags scattered around the forest and they need to find them. Reba told Sid that she is out, but Sid pointed his gun at her as she was walking out the cave. David shields Reba as she continues to walk outside. Now Sid, Eddie, and David went to the other side of the cave as well and saw another bag of cocaine hanging by the waterfall. They also saw Sari and the 2 kids terrified as Sid points a gun towards them. He orders Eddie and David to reach the bag or else he will shoot them. As Sid got another bag, 2 of the little bears attacked him. He orders Eddie to shoot the cubs, but Eddie refuses to do so. He then throws his gun towards David, but Sari catches it and points it at him. They rant towards Sid, telling him that he's the reason for all this and that he needs to stop. The cubs were crying and they saw that their mother, the cocaine bear, had arrived. Sari and the kids jumped down the waterfalls, and as Eddie and David were about to jump, David was shot accidentally by Sid in the neck. Sid was dismembered by the cocaine bear as he refused to let go of the bags of cocaine. The people who jumped down the waterfalls were safe, except for David, who was shot in the neck. He was about to die due to blood loss, but Sari saved him, as she was a nurse. As 5 of them went home, we saw that Eddie took care of Bob's dog, and David was safe as his wound was patched up. Sari and the 2 kids went home, and they saw Liz's corpse on the road. As it ends, we see two people speaking in the background as they were filming the Cocaine bear and her two cubs. They then realized that they were in trouble as the three bears looked at them. Thank you guys for watching, and if you liked this video, make sure to watch the next one. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Bye!